Hang on.
All righty then. Jesus. It
starts already.
Winter time. We are deep into the winter time, which means only one thing. It is time for yet another draft. It's time for another draft here, the Poprika draft. We are going with the running theme of best TV show, with the caveat of it being at least 3 seasons or more. And of course, I have the usual suspects, the usual group of clowns with me, as I always do. Let's go around the table and introduce them. Now to my right, the former Test Your Might champion, as well as the winner of the 2019 Most Stable at the Table, man. How you doing, Mr. Drummond Jackson?
Pretty good. I like the term inaugural.
Yeah. I'm going to keep on saying former.
Because it never dies.
It never dies.
It can't be taken away.
You will always be a former champ, sir. Unless you become the current champ again.
It could happen.
It could happen, sir. The first match in next season is the championship. You versus Chris Baker. Ooh, vengeance is the theme of that joint. And across the table, we have Test Your Might's most middling player ever. Also the draft champion currently, Mr. Brian Martin. How you doing today, sir?
Hell yeah. I'm doing great. I brought the gauntlet here, as you might have heard, and on my way out the door, my wife said, "When are you getting rid of that?"
After this podcast.
Yeah, it may be today, guys.
It may be today. I guess we'll have to see.
It won't be. It won't be if Wings is my number one choice.
Currently, the Test Your Might #1 contender right now. So I'm not sure how that happened, but we're all shocked.
Sure,
I've played. I've played more games of Test Your Might than
he's the most prolific Test Your Might contestant.
Prolific Test Your Might contestant. And to my left, we have Pete Lentz. All right, let's get this bad boy going. No superlatives to his name quite yet in Poprika.
Right. Because apparently I suck at trivia.
But you do. I was looking at the everything this morning, trying to set up stuff for season 3. There's a very low possibility that by the end of season 3, sir, you could be champion for Test Your Might.
Yay!
Yeah.
I mean, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. You just got to get like 3 matches in a row.
Yeah.
Right?
All I have to do is not get a Nolan category, and I'll be fine.
Or conversely, all you have to do is learn your fucking Nolan, and you got no blind spots. You're good to go.
That's true.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, and we are here for our draft. I see that we are seated in what we assume is draft order.
It happens every single time.
Statistically speaking, it's likely.
Making a bold prediction that things will switch up.
That is a bold prediction.
Yeah.
Yes.
66 repeating decimal chance.
I think we're going to see Haley's Comet again.
All right, let's take these numbers and go on around, pass that cup on around there, sir. And let's see what we end up with here. I am number 1.
What?
Oh, things have changed.
Things have changed.
Things have changed so much.
Things have changed. What we got?
I've got number 3. Again.
I am number 2.
The hell number is 4.
So literally one switch up there.
One switch. You guys want to? You guys want to trade real quick? Just to keep. I meant your numbers.
Let's see what's the best way to do.
Hell no,
this.
I want to trade with Daryl.
So you're number 2. Pete?
I am number 2.
So it's 1, 2. So you two can swap seats.
Oh god, this is going to get real confusing.
Yes.
Oh boy.
That's going to throw them off their games, Pete.
Oh, no, I'm ready. I'm excited.
I'm going to forget to pick Wings.
Oh man, I got to sit next to Snack and Jackson. Did you bring any snacks?
I brought just water.
He brought just the one, just the water, as is his custom.
Orange mango.
Did I bring
Oh, he's gonna bust out some cellophane nonsense.
Start crunching.
Here, have this coaster
snacks.
Have
about
that
to get
coaster.
hella crunchy in here.
I definitely brought snacks, but none of you can have any. I'm sorry. Pork cheek.
Pork cheek.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know we could eat that. But
every time I hear you say that,
I've had pig face before.
Every time I hear you say that, I think
pig face sounds like a Dick Tracy villain.
Yeah, I've had spicy pig face in Korea.
Spicy pig face.
It is fucking amazing.
Every time I hear you say pork cheek, I think you're mispronouncing pork chic, like it's like cool
pork chic. Well, it is cool pork.
Well, it is cool pork. Yeah, it's not often you nibble in the cheeks of an animal, sir.
Nibble.
All right, then let us get this thing started here. Before we get started, I want to just put a caveat out here. This won't be my best show. Television is my weakest of all the pop culture mediums. So of the 60 that I brought to possibly draft from, I think I've seen all the way through 4 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
60, huh?
So it's going to be me BSing my way through this shit.
There might be a show or two in here that I've never seen an
There's
episode.
definitely
I'm
going to be some
playing the
pandering
game.
out there. There's going to be some pandering for votes.
All right, let's get this bad boy underway. Right. I have the first pick. I'm going to go ahead and take The Wire off the list.
Wow, okay.
Yep.
Good one.
Joint was 2002. It's an HBO joint. Man. HBO, rarely have they had a shitty show. Like Game of Thrones started out strong and ended kind of weak, but other than that, I can't really think of a bad show HBO has done. And The Wire is generally up there as one of the
Maybe we
better.
just don't remember those ones.
I mean,
they
even back
gotta
to
be out
the
there.
Larry Sanders Show was pretty damn
Larry
solid.
Sanders Show is awesome.
Yeah, Oz is pretty damn solid.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think HBO doesn't have bad shows. And The Wire is definitely not one of those bad shows. It is a great look at crime in Baltimore area. A couple places are familiar to me because I lived about 20 minutes south of Baltimore. I stayed very clear of anybody named Omar while I lived there. Omar's coming. What did you guys
Daryl
think
grew
of-
up in Amsterdam.
What did you guys think of The Wire?
I still have not seen it. It's on my Prime Video to-do list.
I am at a point in my life, and I've been there for probably 5 years, where I don't even want to have a discussion about the social climb of America with somebody who has not seen The Wire. Like,
Okay, then.
I'm just like, it's one of my prerequisites. It's like, if you haven't seen The Wire, I doubt that you know anything about anything.
Sorry.
I know.
Sorry to let you know,
it is.
Thanks,
It is. I mean, for a work of largely fiction, it is, I think, to me, one of the most socially relevant television shows that has ever been produced. It is
That's what I keep hearing about.
incredible, and it pulls no punches. It expects the most of its audience.
Yes.
It doesn't settle you in. There's no nestling in. You were just thrown in, and the show's like, fuck you. You figure out who these people are, and you will. And I swear to God, there is not a weak spot in that whole cast.
That's good world
The
building.
villains, the heroes. Not that those terms mean anything in this universe.
No.
Because everybody's just kind of
Hustling.
doing what they do.
Everybody's just hustling their asses off. in
I
this
think
show.
Stringer Bell's arc is one of the most arresting and tragic arcs in television history.
Agreed.
There's nothing weak about this show.
Nothing
Absolutely
weak
nothing.
about The Wire, and that is why it is my first pick. Now, headed over to you, Mr.
Yep.
Lentz. What is your first one off?
This is weird. I've never been number 2 before. All right. Well, I have to go with the most prolific, one of the shows that has the most to contribute to the cultural zeitgeist. I'm taking The Simpsons.
Oh, good pull.
call.
Good pull.
The
The Simpsons,
early.
31 seasons, probably more memes online than any other show ever.
Except for The Mandalorian at this point. The Mandalorian is beating it this week.
Yeah. Baby Yoda, or as I like to call him, Kevin, is pretty much taken over the internet. But The Simpsons, man, 31 seasons. That is nothing to sneeze at. They've dominated Fox. Never been canceled. Never been up for, we don't know if we're going to keep this on the network or not. Like it's The Simpsons, man.
Do you remember that episode where the Simpsons spin-off showcase episode where like Troy McClure's hosting and he's like, this year the Fox Broadcasting Company came to us with a simple request: 31 new shows to fill their programming schedules.
Who's your favorite Simpsons character?
My favorite Simpsons character is honestly probably Maggie because she has managed to get by saying, I think, only one word. I think the one time she popped the pacifier out of her mouth, she said something.
Daddy.
Daddy.
She said
that's what it
daddy
was.
was her first word. But don't forget the Treehouse of Horror episode where she spoke in James Earl Jones' voice and said, this is indeed a disturbing universe.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, my favorite Treehouse of Horror was the one where Homer got trapped inside the computer.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Tron?
what does it look like in there?
Anybody
And he
see
goes,
Tron?
anybody see Tron?
Yeah.
No. Yes. No.
Javon, who's your favorite Simpsons character?
Oh man, I probably if not comic book guy, I have to go with Homer. Like, starting out, the phenomenon was, it was Bart's show basically. It revolved around him. But once they start like tailoring it towards Homer and some of his antics, I was like, this show is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Like some of the things that he has said over these seasons.
They just gradually made him stupider and stupider. And then they reached this nadir where they kind of made him like Family Guy stupid. And I'm like, no, not quite. But like,
it's coming from the guy who's wearing the Family Guy colors. Right?
Got the green sweater on.
The seasons, like I'd say season 3 to season 8, Homer's at like peak Homer. And I still quote that show all the time, and probably 50% of those quotes are attributed to Homer Simpson.
Is he your favorite character?
Probably.
Yeah.
God, like how do you even pick Homer? Lisa, I think, is a terrific character. Ralph Wiggum stands out to me. It's like, I don't feel right,
Cletus is also, he's like,
Cletus is great. I can call my ma while I'm up here. Hey, Ma, get off the dang roof.
Slack-jawed yokels.
Yeah, that's just one of the, I feel like that show is just one of the most consistent, one of the most iconic. Like it belongs number 1 on my list.
Absolutely.
All right, then, absolutely. Mr. Jackson, the floor is yours.
Okay, number 1. I'm actually surprised this didn't get taken immediately, but so I'm going to have to take it. It's what I consider probably one of the greatest TV shows to have ever been made, and in my opinion, a perfect run. Breaking Bad.
Yep, that's it.
There it is.
And I'm fucked.
Yes. I mean, it's like Bryan Cranston is like the dude from Malcolm in the Middle, the dad.
Yeah,
he's like
just slanging.
Yeah, it's like I couldn't take it seriously when I first heard the premise, and then once you see that first episode, it's like, oh wow,
yeah. You're goddamn right.
Yes.
You know what? I
am the one who knocks.
I couldn't get into it, man.
Oh,
I think I got somewhere in the 3rd season. I was like, you know what? I think I'm done here. And everybody's like, that's where it starts to get good. And I don't want a show that starts getting good.
I feel like
30 episodes into that show.
I feel like if that first episode doesn't hook you, you're probably not going to get into it. It's like, for me, it was just episode 1 and on. I was like, okay, let's take this ride.
Okay. Fair enough.
Like just seeing this just well-to-do like science teacher basically become Scarface. It's like
Scarface of the ABQ.
Yeah, I think like if you get like episode 3 is about the time where they melt that dude in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty much what this show's going to be. So like if you guys aren't in on it, by now, like my parents watched the very first episode of it and they're like, I don't know, watching this guy die of cancer. And I'm like, that's what you took from this? But yeah, I'm with you. If you're a listener of this podcast, you know I am fundamentally opposed to binge watching.
Yes.
But I will say the one show I effectively binge watched, because I watched the entire run of this show in about a month, was Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because it is... There's not really a lot of subtext to it. It really is just this easily digestible roller coaster of this guy's life. You want to know what happens to Jesse. You want to know what happens to Walt. You want to know what happens to his family. You want to know all of these things. They have some of the greatest
Walt's family.
Some great villains,
especially
Gus Fring.
Oh man,
Gus Fring, one of the best villains in history. I just love, and his takeout, without spoiling anything, is absolutely fucking amazing.
Right,
when Gus Fring goes down, he fucking goes down. Yes. And you're like, okay. Oh, he's walking away from it. Oh, shit. No, he ain't.
I feel like this was going to be first on your list if it had gotten to you.
This was 100% going to be first.
Yeah, it's number 2 on my list, and I was like, nah, the wire.
Because I feel like, and I think this is the case with a lot of drafts, I think there are shows that if you can get them into your top 2, you basically run the table. Like Jermon, I think now that you've got Breaking Bad, you could put Wings in number 2 and still win.
I'm thinking that or Guardians of the Galaxy.
It is absolutely,
I know our audience.
Absolutely possible to pull it off.
Damn you, Poprikans!
So with
man,
The Wire, The Simpsons, and Breaking Bad off the list, Brian, what is your first
Jesus
choice?
Christ,
oh man,
I gotta admit I'm a little bit hosed.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, jeez, man, because I did not anticipate picking either of these shows as my number 1. but I believe what I am going to pick is Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, number 2 on my list.
Yeah,
That was in my top 10.
This was going to be, in a perfect world, it would have been Breaking Bad and then Next Generation for me.
That's a 1-2 punch there.
Dude.
But I mean, I'm not gonna act like I'm sad to be putting this at number 1 because I think
it shouldn't be.
Out of I think it's probably the best Star Trek series. The only one that could potentially give it a run for its money, I think, is Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
But I think those two are achieving different things, right? Star Trek: The Next Generation is a premise-built show that happens week to week, and Deep Space Nine gradually became a more plot-driven show that had an overarching kind of thing. And I think it was
took
great.
place during the same timeline.
Yes,
like interwoven into the.
I love how different Deep Space Nine was, and how it still stands out. I think, but The Next Generation, I think any show, just about, with the exception of the ones that I think we've talked about here, takes a little bit of time to get its legs.
Oh, yes.
The Next Generation absolutely was one of those shows. I think during the first 2 seasons, there are a couple standout episodes. But by the time season 3 rolled around, it was firing on all cylinders. It knew exactly how to differentiate itself. I don't want to point fingers, but this is also about the time Gene Roddenberry died.
Clapped up.
And Gene Roddenberry famously wanted this show to be devoid of conflict.
Yeah, he didn't want any of his characters
Everybody's
to ever have
like,
any beef.
how do you do that? You can't make a show that is conflict-free.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so once we got past that and realized, the 24th century is still going to have some conflict going on, I think the show became itself.
Yeah.
I think it pioneered the now very common trope of the cliffhanger season finale.
Oh yeah.
Dallas.
I guess the Who Shot JR Dallas thing was
but that
kind
was
of
just
one of them.
one. Star Trek Next Generation managed to do it every single time.
Every single season became a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Like
if you go through and look, you can see it on Netflix.
Part
if
1,
you
part
go through,
2s.
they're all part 1, part 2s.
And and it came out of the gate firing with Best of Both Worlds.
Oh, for sure.
One of the best season finales in history. That last line where Riker tells them to open fire on Picard. Good luck waiting 3 months, guys. But I think so. The Next Generation has a terrific ensemble cast.
Yes.
Again, it's one of those things where even when you get like Troy and Crusher, they're not. I wouldn't call them dead weight. I would call them
fucking Crusher.
Slightly less interesting. Beverly Crusher gets one of the worst episodes of that show. She falls in love with that ghost.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit. But that show has the best series finale, I think, in history.
Oh, for sure.
All Good
Things.
Things.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So,
And I can see why they use the All Good Things reference in Endgame, right? I think the Russos said they look to All Good Things. A couple of things as a way to kind of wrap.
I could see that. There's a lot of parallels.
I would-
It's stellar.
I would argue
that finale is fantastic.
Yeah, I would argue that we wouldn't even have the Star Trek franchise as it is without the Next Generation.
Correct.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's 100%.
If they came up with another original series type of show, wouldn't have made it.
No.
No,
Wouldn't
yeah,
have made
the franchise would have largely stayed a film franchise.
Yeah.
You know, because that was already going strong. I mean, of course, until Star Trek V fucked all that up. But the Star Trek film series was still very awesome.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. But then that show that broke down everything on TV, man.
Yes.
And
Correct.
Star Trek Next Generation was a absolute game changer. And came out like on a network really nobody was watching.
It wasn't even on that. It was in syndication.
It was in
It was
syndication.
syndicated,
But
yeah.
I saw it when Fox first launched. Was when I had seen it.
Right.
And Fox was just finding their legs, married with children.
And it
was on
wasn't,
there, and-
it's not a primetime show. It's very much a check your local listing show.
Yeah,
'Cause we don't know
100%.
when the fuck this is on. You gotta find it.
All right.
Yeah.
It goes back over to me for my second
No,
pick.
it doesn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Or snake.
Fucking
my
hosed
bad.
here.
not used to being one, Daryl.
Yeah, I'm not-
You
I'm
are
not used
every
to being
single
one.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
so-
then it is back on you again, Mr.
And
Martin.
I am going to take the X-Files off the table.
Oh.
Son of a bitch.
Dude, come on. Talk about a 1-2 punch, though. Like, you're worried about Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
and you got Next Generation and X-Files.
And hey, we're looking to Breaking Bad. Vince Gilligan got his start on the
X-Files.
X-Files,
Right.
making some of the best, most memorable episodes. X-Files was the first appointment television in my house growing up, I think.
Same here.
I mean, there was Cheers was on every week and shows like that. Newhart was on every week, but when that was running. But the X-Files was everybody have your shit together, have your affairs in order by 9 p.m. on Friday
100%.
or 9 p.m. on Sunday when this show starts, because the whole family is sitting down and we're all watching it. And it's for me and my family, I think it's the only time that has happened, that sort of all hands on deck television viewing. My brother was maybe 8 or 9 when the show started. He's still included. It's like we're all watching this. We all watched Home together. It's
that's not the episode you want to watch.
Maybe the most fucked up hour of broadcast television in history.
Oh, for sure.
So much so that they refused to air it again on the Fox
years.
network. You had to they would air it during the FX marathons and things like that.
I've seen it on BBC.
But man,
What a great episode.
that show
That's
again.
something.
Now, I think X-Files found its footing very quickly, and a lot of those early episodes from the first season are really, really good. And there are bad episodes of the X-Files, to be sure. I would argue that even the later seasons without Mulder aren't really that bad. I think Robert Patrick was pretty good, and
That's when I checked out.
I think the final.
That's right about when I checked out.
I think the final season, the original final season of the X-Files, got back to its Monster of the Week kind of thing, and they had some really, really solid episodes in that season.
I feel like the first couple seasons were good seasons, but it didn't really find its footing until the whole conspiracy business popped up.
When it really started to ramp up.
That's 3, 4, 5 is somewhere in that area. That's when the movie drops.
Alien hybrids. And,
having fucking bounty hunters and Krychek and the black oil and
when
shit.
Krychek shows up in season 2. Rat Boy, he becomes a big.
I love Krychek.
That's kind of a turning point. Yeah, I think Scully's abduction and the Dwayne Barry Scully's abduction stuff in season 2 is where that show turned and became what we know.
Started to
and
become
what we
serialized.
Love. But the thing is, I think you're kind of either a conspiracy guy or a Monster of the Week guy. That you have a preference. I never really had a preference. I just kind of loved all of it. Yeah. But there's something when you see that William B. Davis's name pops up in the opening.
Cancer
You're
Man's
like, Cancer Man's in this one. This is going to be serious, you know? But all of Mulder's informants, Mr. X has one of the best deaths in the show's history.
Hallway.
He writes down in his own blood where Mulder should seek his support from here on. Yeah. You're fucked, he writes in blood. Not really.
Jermon, were you a big X-Files dude?
Nah, I wasn't super big into it. I've seen an episode here and there. I don't know. I think that was at the time that was sci-fi was that genre that I especially TV-wise, that I couldn't super get into like that.
Okay. All right.
But I respected the hell out of the show.
Yeah, it's definitely a dope show. And it is back on you, sir. What is your second choice?
My second pick. It's probably going to be the most recent of the shows on here, and as of this year, just made the cut here with 3 seasons of Stranger Things.
Oh, you son of a bitch! Number 3 on my list. Number 4 on my list.
I mean, what can we say about this show? I mean, the nostalgia factor alone was it's literally like watching the Goonies.
It's serialized the Goonies.
The Goonies fucked Poltergeist.
Yeah.
It is basically the television version of Emperor Palpatine's line, "You want this, don't you?"
Stroking a Netflix subscription.
Damn right.
It's it's like, back in the days when you used to watch TV and the intro alone used to pull you in and stuff. I don't skip those intros ever.
Yeah, talk to Brian.
Yes.
That button. Fuck you button.
Yes. It's how dare you ask me that?
I feel like, with that synth score really puts a mood on it.
That John Carpenter vibe is definitely on.
See, I've always said this is the analogy that I've made. The adults are in a Stephen King horror. The teenagers are in a John Carpenter movie, and the kids are in a Richard Donner Goonies type joint. It's 3 different flavors that are all meshed in perfectly together.
Good point.
And
good point.
Yeah, Winona Ryder was putting in that work, especially first season.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, she can act. She can really act.
Yeah, she's more than just Spock's mom.
Yeah. And, of course, all the obvious, 80s nods, the Ghostbusters stuff, Matthew Modine popping up, Paul Reiser, Carrie Elways.
Yeah, as soon as Paul Reiser came on the screen, like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Didn't trust him. I don't trust him and Mad About You. Thanks to Aliens.
Damn it, Burke.
Sean Astin just...
Yeah. I like to see who the 80s throwback guest star is going to be for this next season.
Oh, man.
I hope it's Alf.
Just Alf.
Richard Grieco is like,
Where's your cats?
Eric Roberts? Who knew?
They have, to me, because, most TV shows have that slump after the first season or so. They have not had a bad season yet.
No,
Nope.
I don't think
Nope.
so.
And it's only going for 5 they've planned. So they as long as they can just keep going for 2 more seasons.
Get in, get out.
You got to get in because them kids are getting old.
Yeah, already. They already.
But I think that's to their credit because now, like, the relationships have become different, the dynamics have become different than it was from season 3 to season 1.
Yeah,
I think them older, they're using it perfectly as a way to
keep
things
fresh.
Because they jumped them
age realistic.
Yeah, because they jumped them in this 3rd season, and then you see the whole mall culture thing, which is what happens when you become a teenager.
Yeah, and that split at the end. I'm interested to see what was it, the buyers that dip out. That leave Hawkins? So it's kind of interesting to see how they're all gonna come back together if they're all gonna come back together.
Right.
Mr. Lentz.
Oh boy. It's like it's like being here is like there's a cake on the table and everyone has taken the most gigantic pieces and there's like these crumbs left now.
Crumbs. I have 60 choices. What are you talking about?
The best crumb.
I was told I could have some cake.
I was told there'd be cake here.
Pray to crumb.
Okay, so now the choices become difficult. Do we go with
There's literally only 6 that have been taken off.
That's
you know how many TV shows have been made?
I think the draft is done. Are we ready to vote?
But there's 6 of like the greatest shows ever. So like, how do we play now? Do you do the new stuff and capture the votes, or do you do shows that are actually have captured the
Pete, I would
TV,
caution you against picking something like Meet the Press.
You bullshit. I have shows like that on my list.
not Todd. I'm all about
Nightline.
it.
Not The Price is Right.
Right. Oh, man,
I love some
think
Plinko.
about game shows.
First of all, I would put the game show on this list quick. As a matter of fact, I do have one on this list.
So I'm going to pick one that it's been over for a while, but in its 7-season run, it managed to tell a complete story that had a definitive ending written. And I love shows that do that. I love when they have a definitive ending.
Take what I'm looking at.
Stargate.
Take what I'm looking at.
Now, I'm going to go with Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, hey, all right.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Sons of Anarchy is one of the best shows that's ever been on television. It did not have, again, it's another show that did not have a bad season or a slump. Their wacky adventures, wacky, yeah.
Somehow, I don't think that was in their initial pitch.
No, I don't think
The Wacky Adventures of the Sam Crow Motorcycle Club.
Kurt Sutter managed to really, I don't know, man, managed to really like drum up a well of just pathos wrapped in scum. Is the best way I can put it. Like,
I'm pretty sure it's on the season 1 DVD box.
I mean, right.
Wrapped in scum. Wow, that's not even on my list. I forgot. I love
that throughout the show's run, Jax continuously references his father's book, begins writing his own book, and then not to spoil anything. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the way that show ends. The last 2 seasons specifically are just pure poetry. And I feel like when you can derive real, legit literary poetry from something as violent and visceral as a show like Sons of Anarchy, I really think you've touched on something special. Like that show to me should be on a must-watch list of anybody who enjoys excellent television. Like Sons of Anarchy just blows away. All the performances. There's not a bad actor in that show. True. That show made Charlie Hunnam. Ron Perlman totally kicking ass.
Yeah. Bobby Elvis just popped up on The Mandalorian the other day.
Yeah, right. Katie Seagal in probably her renaissance. Katie Sagal's role in that show, she was so well acted. Her arc's so wonderful. What happens between her and Jax in the last season, just Jesus. What happens with her and Tara? There's fucking nothing wrong with that show, and everyone should watch it, and it belongs on my number 2.
There you
That's
go.
all I got to say.
Good pull. Good pull.
It is a good pull. It is over to me now. I do believe I will stick in the HBO realm.
Uh-oh.
And go ahead and snatch up The Sopranos.
Oh, wow.
Right,
I knew that was going quick.
Yeah, that was going to be on somebody's list for sure.
Yeah, the finest in mafia shows. What other mafia shows have there been? Like when that came out, it just eclipsed any other possibility. Because anything else is going to just get
it's going to look like a Pretenders of the Throne.
By the Sopranos.
I think that kind of started that trend in television where they were making a lot of shows where the protagonist is essentially a villain, more or less.
Right.
I think Boardwalk Empire is the only other one I can think of that was a
true. Also on HBO.
Yeah.
Also on HBO.
Tony Soprano was not a likable character at all.
No.
There
wasn't any likable characters on that
Not
show
really.
as far as I remember.
Not really.
No.
Maybe the therapist. I don't know.
Dr. Melfi is the only person that's getting out of this fairly unscathed. It ushered in, was it 1999? I think it ushered in an era of like great prestige television. Yeah. I think HBO has always been at the forefront of prestige television. There's the big controversial ending of what the fuck? It just got the black. What the fuck is that all about? And, just the think pieces and the articles that came out either in support of or criticizing that ending shows how much people were invested in this show going into the very last bit of it. Fine establishment of a show in The Sopranos.
Yeah, I wonder, I'm very curious about how shows like The Sopranos are going to fare in this ultimate, like the voting, because like Game of Thrones, I'm just going to get out there, is not on my list. And I think it's because the wounds caused by that finale are too fresh.
Yep.
And I think people are going to resent it.
It's way down.
And I really wonder, I wonder about shows where they were maybe top of the world and then the finale happened and people were like, what the fuck? And then I wonder how that's going to go. So I'm curious.
I hesitated
very curious.
Yeah, that cut the black.
I think Sopranos, if you're going to pick one of those types of shows, Sopranos is the one to pick.
Yeah.
Personally, I as a professional musician, I will never, ever, ever forgive The Sopranos for bringing back "Don't Stop Believin'."
I don't know if The Sopranos did that. I think Glee did that.
I'll call that. Glee did it.
I think Sopranos put that back in the
consciousness.
I think it put it back in the consciousness for sure. That I think The Sopranos using it is why Glee ended up using it.
That I will.
So the first episode of Glee was a reference to The Sopranos.
I believe it.
I'll give one thing though. That opening theme song. Good Lord.
Yeah, got yourself a gun.
Yes.
You remember when you guys ever see that Harvey Birdman episode where like Fred Flintstone was like the Tony Soprano character and they did the parody of that opening credits with Fred Flintstone?
I love Harvey Birdman.
Oh my God, that episode's so good. I can't go off on a tangent.
Yeah,
I
try not to. We might
love
get
Harvey
to
Birdman.
We
dude.
could get to Harvey Birdman later. No, we can't. I think it only ran for like 2 seasons.
All right, so
Did you get that thing I sent you?
it's still on me
Thing I sent
to get my next pick out of the way here. I'm going to go far off script. Completely out of character for me. This is 1,000% pandering for votes.
Sex and the
Go
City.
ahead and put that out there right now. It is specifically the David Tennant years of Doctor Who.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, you're gonna get some votes on that.
Yeah. Now, I will put this out there. I did say specifically David Tennant years. So who else is out there? The Matt Smith years is out there that could possibly be out there.
Christopher
And
Eccleston.
So each one counts as
Eccleston doesn't.
Each one counts as a
technically
series,
count,
or-
I mean,
Yeah,
well,
I
if
mean,
we
I
count
will
each
say-
one as a series, then Eccleston doesn't count because it was only 1 year.
It only did one. He one and done, huh?
And you
he's like,
couldn't
I'm going to hop on this
technically
Thor 2 money.
And you couldn't technically do Whitaker yet because she's only had one
only-
season so
yeah.
far. But you could do Matt Smith and you could do Capaldi. I think.
Capaldi, I
Capaldi,
think.
He did 3 years.
Yeah. So there you go. Those two are still out there for you. I don't know. Y'all said something about it. I don't give a fuck.
All right, look. Okay, so I think that when Doctor Who came back, it wasn't until Tennant came along that it became a new cultural touchstone for a new generation of people. And I think most of the fans of this most recent run, their Doctor is either Tennant or Smith.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's doctor is Capaldi, and I don't think anybody's doctor is Eccleston. There might be one or two of you out there, but Tennant is, when you say Doctor Who, what a lot of modern Doctor Who fans think of first.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
And it's well deserved. I think he's an outstanding, conflicted, funny doctor. He's very, very good.
Boom, there you have it. You guys got anything to say about
that?
Dr.
That shit missed me, dude.
Yeah.
It's on now. It's on Amazon Prime Video. They starting at the Eccleston year. So I put that all on my queue. I'm like, I'm gonna get up on this. I need to be able to communicate with some. All I know is he sonic screwdriver, and he walks around with a girl companion all the time. And
he has that hair, and
cannot climb stairs.
And he makes faces at a lot of people.
The faces.
One of my gaping blind spots.
And I'm more than okay with that being one of my gaping blind spots. I'm not catching up on that shit. It's just not happening. I will leave that for.
The funny thing is, I was looking at a construction site like a few weeks back, and it occurred to me that if we ever try to Americanize Doctor Who just completely, like a reboot, and it's Americanized, that TARDIS is going to take the form of a porta-john, right?
Nothing more American.
Great allegory for what America is.
Yes.
Right.
All right, then, Pete, it is back on you, my man.
Okay, man. All right. Well, damn it. Okay. So there are shows out there that have run a long time, been run into the ground, did not have good later seasons, but then they have that one first season that fucking crushed.
Don't pick heroes. I'm just gonna take that.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that is on my list, but that is not where I'm going with this.
I think I have an idea where he's going.
That is not where I'm going with this. This show, this was another, to me and all my friends, this was another appointment show. Like, you needed to be at the house for this. I'm going to pick 24.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, that's not the one
on my list.
Okay.
24 ran for 9 seasons, first of all. And
initially. No, I guess it's, technically.
I believe, okay, so the initial run was 8. And then 24 Redemption,
was a movie, and then they did Live Another Day, which was a 10th season, technically, of the Bauer era, and then they did Legacy, which was a...
Legacy, I'm not counting.
The less said about that, the better.
Yeah, Legacy kind of blew. I had high hopes for that, actually, and just didn't work out. But the first season of that show, I believe, is game-changing television.
That was appointment TV for me.
That was absolutely, like, I mean, to me, the first 5 seasons of that show made a very, very coherent narrative. The subsequent seasons were okay, but it's like, we've seen this formula before, but up to season 5, I felt like those first 5 seasons were appointment television.
Season 5 should have been the end of the show.
I absolutely agree.
I think season 5 was, to me, the best season of 24. It was the twists, the turns, the villain reveal in that season.
The first episode.
The peril in that first episode. And it's the one season of that show that never stops being about one specific thing.
Right.
Bringing the killer to justice.
Absolutely.
The whole season is about that. There's no cougars. There's no there's no weird twist halfway through where, but here's the secondary villain.
Here's the second part. Yeah.
And it's got Peter Weller in it. As the man who trained Jack Bauer to kill.
Yeah.
The same Peter Weller from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, exactly. Sons of Anarchy. So that's 2 Peter Weller joints on my list.
Yes.
But yeah, 24, man.
All we got to do is get Peter Weller in a Verhoeven film.
Oh, man.
Hey, man, I was the Verhoeven guy. Yeah. So, the first season of 24, absolutely mind-blowing. And I remember it came out, it was supposed to come out the weekend of 9/11.
Yes.
And
it was.
They actually had to edit out the scene where the plane explodes because they were not going to air it that weekend. They were going to wait. But then they couldn't, it was too much in the zeitgeist at the time.
We can't
planes
show
exploding. We cannot show that.
We can't show that. Yeah.
We can infer that because that is, it obviously is inferred that's what happens, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
They had to fundamentally alter the ending of the show just by not showing that. They just show her kind of sail off, and you get like one fiery piece that comes. It's fresh in my mind because I just watched it with my kids. I was like, y'all need to watch 24. You need to see this. And they were riveted. Like, it's watching them have the same feeling that I had when I watched it. They were like, I told them, I set them down. I said, okay, we're going to watch this show. I'm going to watch the very first episode. And if you don't immediately want to watch the second episode, we'll turn it off. We won't have to worry about it.
Pete will turn it off and he'll eat both of his shoes. Yeah. I will eat both of my fucking shoes if you don't want to watch the second hour after the first hour 24.
And true enough, like they saw her come out of that plane and they were like, Daddy, watch the next one.
And I'm like, yes. that thing at the end of every episode where all the boxes show where everybody's at. And it's like, it's like that's the point where your like stomach drops and you're like, oh shit, this is the end. This is it. We're going to get one last big stinger for next week.
And my kids consistently said at the end of every episode, they were like, what?
Jamon, did you ever watch 24?
I watched a few episodes. I had because that was.
If you only watched a few episodes, then you didn't fucking watch 24.
Right. See, now when I first got
24, baby,
you didn't even watch it for a day.
when I first got Netflix, my girlfriend at the time, like every weekend she would blow through a season of 24. So I would pop in, on an episode or two here and there.
See what's happening. Yeah, my roommate at the time, shout out to Damon Hurd. He binged.
The angriest Poprican.
He binged something like 3 seasons.
I was like, how do you do that?
In like 5 days.
I mean, it's
all my days was just, they got that countdown clock before his commercial.
Yeah.
Like, now think of us hearing that over.
Yeah.
And over. And over.
I was like,
and
this
over.
shit is intense.
All day long.
The sounds
all
on that show.
night long. Over. And over. I fucking hate this show.
So I'm guessing
important.
you don't like it then.
I've never seen the season.
The sound of the clock, the sound of just the CTU phone.
Oh, the phone. For a long time, that was my ringtone back in the day. Like we had found it, and we put it. All of my friends put it on their phones. Like we had to have the.
I think I watched enough to know that there are like just quite a few tropes in there that they leaned on. I was like, is everybody able to just bring a nuke into the United States?
You checking into customs.
Is everybody able to just bring a nuke in, and will Kiefer Sutherland ever be able to pronounce nuclear?
Jamon, the next pick is on you, sir.
All right. Okay, I think I'm going to slide over to maybe another genre here. This one, I guess, technically with this, they, of course, they did a unofficial third season, more or less. So technically, it counts or whatever.
Wait a minute.
What kind of?
Well, not even technically. It was a third season. Okay. We'll say it was a third season.
Just nobody likes it?
No, everybody. Okay. I hope everybody likes it.
Sounded real suspect.
I'm gonna go with the Chappelle Show.
Oh yeah.
Good pull.
Bravo.
Number 16 on my list.
Bravo.
This was Chappelle. This was Chappelle at the top of his game.
Sure.
Yes.
Even now he's pretty much he's probably one of the greats, all time.
He's
greats.
one of the greats,
and
yes.
He was so ahead of its time. Like some of the stuff that he was doing then is still relevant now. Like the sketches with the love contract and all that.
The
stuff.
reparations.
Reparation, yeah.
The racial draft.
Yes,
yeah, there's some good stuff in there.
He could have
Bixby.
Yes, he knew how to push the envelope in such a way. Like he crossed the line.
Let's not get that.
He crossed a bunch of lines.
Yes.
And then just kept crossing them. He was like, "Fuck you guys, I'm doing this."
He's a habitual line stepper.
Yes.
You could say.
Yes, it was
Here
that
the
one
line step.
It was probably one of the most quotable shows of its time. It's one of those shows where, because you have all these people that are doing these reboots and revivals of TV shows and stuff. This is the one show where if he decided, hey, I want to do Chappelle's Show again, nobody would complain. Not a single person.
Everybody would say thank God.
Because it'd be fresh and different again.
Because there's a lot of stuff he missed over the past 15 years.
For sure. Oh, he covered it all in his Netflix special and pissed everyone off.
Yeah, what's the thing? I wonder how this show would fly today.
Yeah.
Like if the Chappelle Show had never aired and it was on today for the first time.
Oh, my God. Yeah, they would try.
I don't know.
He'd get dragged on Twitter for sure.
Yes.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'd still love it.
Yes.
He wouldn't care and it would be great. So.
All right. Then good call, sir.
Wow.
Good call.
Yeah, that's a good pull.
All right, then. The floor is yours, Mr. Brian Martin.
I am going to pick a show that I feel like started strong, was very consistent, and delivered a very memorable and suitable conclusion, and that is Mad Men.
Oh, wow.
Right then.
If my dad was a Poprican, he would pick your slide right just from that.
All right, we got to keep Pete's dad at a Poprika.
Right, yeah.
Until after the votes.
I loved it. The characters and the arcs were fantastic. You know, people, I feel like there are certain groups of people that might have dismissed the show early on as being overtly sexist and promoting sort of this old school kind of train of thought with regards to women in the workplace and how men are expected to behave. But the show isn't actually about that. The show is about, if I were to sum it up, it's Don Draper looks at a door and he spends an hour deciding whether to go through it or not. And that's what Mad Men is all about. Am I going to take a step beyond where I'm at now and become a better or a new person? And all of the characters on that show are going through that. They are fighting social tropes, workplace expectations to become more than what they are. And the ending of that show and what happens to Don in the final episode is almost transcendent in terms of how he manages to find balance in his life. The performances in the show are outstanding. What's her name? From
Emma Frost.
No.
January Jones.
January Jones is honestly really, really great.
Oh,
on
you
this show.
talking about Christina Hendricks?
Christina Hendricks. I mean,
Oh boy.
Hoping to bump into her. Just got a divorce from her husband, fellas. It's my time. You're talking about June Osborne.
I was talking about
Elizabeth Moss.
Elizabeth Moss is who I'm talking about. Wow, she has such a terrific character arc in this show. If you have not seen Mad Men, can't recommend it enough. And it stands up there out of shows over the course of the last 15 years or so. It stands toe-to-toe with shows like Breaking Bad or The Sopranos or things like that are just such important narrative pieces. In fact, Matthew Weiner got his start on or came from The Sopranos and made Mad Men after that. It's just outstanding stuff.
All right.
Absolutely.
I bailed halfway through the first season, I think. And it just seems like no one really talks about Mad Men now that it's off, which is why it's as low as it is.
That's unfortunate. But I mean, it's not a show that has anything else to say.
It was one of those shows that made AMC.
Yes.
Sure.
I mean, between
sure.
Breaking Bad, Mad Men, Walking Dead, those are the three shows that made AMC.
Yeah.
All right, then. Good call, sir.
Some of the best dialogue I've ever heard in television, too. So.
All right, then. It's on you again.
I'm gonna take a detour here, and I'm gonna pick a show that is not one of my favorites. I like it just fine, but I feel like it is one of the most consistently popular shows out there that people will not stop watching.
Oh.
And that is The Office. U.S. version.
Thanks for the clarification.
Now my personal favorite is the British version with Ricky Gervais. But the American version of that show, while I like it, I enjoy it, and I think the caricatures they've created to fill this office space are delightful, and the inner office dynamics are very funny. I just prefer the original version, but people fucking love this show, man.
Fucking love this show.
They love it. They've watched it over and over and over again. And it's not even fair for me to say I like the show. It's one of those shows that one of those people who have binge watched this thing 7 times will be like, "No, you fucking don't." Because I swear to God, I asked a question on an office trivia night that technically could have gone one of 2 ways. I didn't know that at the time. I have only seen a handful of episodes of this show, but like half the people they're playing came up to me and started wanting to get on my case about it.
Yeah.
It's just these people are very passionate about it. So
People
The
are very
Office.
passionate.
The Office is my number 4 pick.
That's almost what's always playing in the background at Thirsty Nomad. They just put on episodes of The Office and let it run, and people just fucking sit there and drink and watch The Office.
It's another
mute.
It's another very memeable show, though.
Is incredibly memeable.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
giftable
remarkable
show.
considering, I mean, it ended before the age of memes, really.
Yeah.
Or was ending right as the age of memes began.
Jermaine, were you a big Office dude at all?
I never got into it.
Nah. Yeah, exactly. What about you, Pete?
No, I watch. I understand how culturally relevant this show is, and I get that people are really big into it, but it's too dry for me. It's every time that I've seen clips of The Office or something, they have never ever induced any belly laughs, even when they were like, "That's the big funny thing in the show." I'm like, "Was it?"
I definitely belly laughed at this show, but I will say, if that's dry for you, the British version.
Don't ever watch the British version. It's elicited a good couple of deep throaty chuckles, but not too many full on belly laughs in the episodes I've seen.
I don't mind dry. It's just there's if something it comes to me and it's supposed to be funny, I want to have like a belly laugh. It's like, because I love laughing. I mean, you guys, it's
orgasmic.
You're getting to know me. I'm a very happy dude, and I love laughing. And when I watch a show that purports itself as a comedy, and then I don't laugh, it's like,
that's disappointing.
Right. Like, okay.
All right, then, Mr. Jackson, it is back on to you.
On me here. Let's see where to go here.
All right, only two more choices before I take the game changing.
Warning.
Family Feud.
The Dawsons.
I'm going to go with a show that probably I feel was a game changer, especially for Netflix and Marvel in general. Got to go with Daredevil here. Yes.
Good call, sir. Good call, sir.
It was the grit
just
that
makes the cut.
Yes,
too,
yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was probably of those the Netflix shows the one that was probably the only one I would have even considered for this.
Yes, it is the only one that's on my list.
Gave us the John Bernthal Punisher too, which is incredibly important.
Only 2 seasons, unfortunately.
Only 2 seasons of that.
Yeah, but he gave us that character, which is why I'm like, yes.
Look at the rooftop conversation.
Season 2.
Probably.
So you're one bad day away from becoming me, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, the performances were just stellar. Seeing Charlie Cox playing this Daredevil, just always getting the shit kicked out of him, and just
it's all about his will.
He's going from one ass kicking to the next, basically.
It's time for my 3 o'clock ass kicking.
And I mean, yes.
Excuse me, sir.
3 o'clock.
And Vincent D'Onofrio.
The defense rests. I gotta get it.
Vincent D'Onofrio, good lord, man! Like
how good was he?
After seeing that first season, I was like, if he does not get nominated for an Emmy, I will cry foul all day. Like, great performance from him. Like, it was, the action was solid. It was what Daredevil needed at the time.
For the longest, it seemed like everybody's favorite in their pantheon of Marvel villains was like Loki and then the Kingpin. And then Thanos came along.
And in fairness,
went like this.
In fairness, like, of course, they had a lot more time to develop Kingpin as a character as opposed to the movies where you have say 2 odd hours or so.
Yeah, and that batshit crazy girlfriend of his.
Yeah.
Those two were made for each other.
And Rosario Dawson.
Good Lord. Good Lord. How long did it take you to get through the first season of Daredevil, Brian?
Not too long, honestly. It took about maybe a month.
Okay.
But I didn't start it because I was like on vacation the week it dropped. So I technically didn't start Daredevil for probably 2 or 3 weeks after it dropped. So either way, by the time I finished watching it, culture had moved on.
The first season dropped on Damon Hird's birthday, and I was up in Maryland visiting him for his birthday, and we watched the first episode. And it's a 7-hour drive for me to get from between here and Maryland.
For sure.
And the whole time I was like, fuck, I'm missing out. I'm fucking missing out. I get back home and everybody's like, episode 8 was amazing. And I'm like, fuck you guys.
I got Rosario Dawson retweeted one of my tweets that weekend when it dropped or whatever. Because I was like,
I'm in.
It's like, I was like, Rosario, thanks to this show, I have not gotten sleep at all, like in 3 days, basically. 'Cause I binged. That was like one of the ones I binged just right over that same weekend.
Yeah, that was that.
I did
Season
that too.
2 was definitely a weekend.
Yeah.
It took me 3 days to get through the first, and that's only because I had shit to do.
Yeah.
Like, if I hadn't had shit to do, I'd have blown through that bitch in a day. Daredevil was awesome.
The problem with me in the first 2 seasons of Daredevil actually was that the apartment I was living in had a high degree of sunlight coming in the afternoon. So there was a window of time in the afternoons where I could not watch TV because the light, and I had to rewatch the final episode of season 2 like a couple times because like I couldn't see shit that was going on in there.
Yeah, I have the problem now because my TV is facing the back wall where there's a giant window and shit coming through. I need some blackout curtains.
That show gave us the hallway sequence, which
yes.
Probably one of the best sequences that's ever been shown.
One of the best action choreographed sequence.
God
also,
damn,
season 3
how
with
you
the
get this
jailbreak.
motherfucker
the long
one
take?
shot?
Yeah, that long take jailbreak in season 3.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, your 4th pick, sir.
Okay, so speaking of dry, what
Sex in the City.
No, I didn't say sucks. All right, so I'm picking this. I'm picking this show first of all because I am currently binge watching it. My friends would not shut up about how I need to watch the show. And now I'm watching this show, and I can't stop watching it, and I am going to be so sad when it's over. I'm picking this show. Of the multitude of reasons that I'm going to pick this show, I'm picking it for one character. This show gave us motherfucking Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
Yep.
Parks and Rec is, God damn it. It's one of the, there's so many facets to that show. Like that, okay, we were talking about dry shit that makes you laugh. I have had to control myself because I watch it late at night when like my whole house is asleep, and I'm trying not to like bust out loud at shit that Chris Pratt and Aubrey Plaza, Andy and April, their whole dynamic and they're fucking hilarious. I laugh at them all the time. Leslie Knope legit makes me want to be a better person in my life. Like she makes me want to work so hard.
Okay, right on.
And Ron Swanson is probably one of the best characters that's ever been on television.
Oh, easy.
Okay.
How he can go from being ultimate alpha male to delivering the moral center of the show.
He's kind of, to me, it's like, a show like All in the Family could not be on TV today.
Right.
But if it were, I think Archie Bunker would have a lot in common with Ron Swanson.
Oh, for sure.
Because like that
Absolutely.
Ron Swanson is like modern masculine sensibilities, right?
Right,
his whole Offerman's whole first stand-up on
Yeah,
Netflix.
his whole shtick is like based off of
Right.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
I mean, like
Motherfucker
it's
makes his own
hard
furniture.
to differentiate the characters from the real person.
Yeah, and that show, like I said, like Ron Swanson, I know he's a meme, and I know he's the poster child for all that is male, but watching the show, he really does deliver the moral center of the show. Like he's always the first one to come in with legit wisdom that the characters need to hear. He always delivers it with a fatherly tone, which belies the way he is most of the time on the show.
Right.
And then and laughter. God, there's so many reasons to just laugh at that show. I mean, Rob Lowe's on that show. Fucking Chris Pratt, even after his success in Guardians of the Galaxy, still came back and did the show.
Yeah.
And was still on it and was still a clown and funny. And even the throwaway line about, so you lost all that weight drinking beer? Oh, yeah, I lost 50 pounds. All I did was stop drinking beer. And that was their rationale for why he looked different when he came back from being Star-Lord, And just that throwaway line, and then you're back in the action. Like it was like he didn't go anywhere. And I'm currently in the back half of season 6 right now, so I'm almost done. But man, that show's it just captured my imagination in a way that a lot of shows really haven't. And so it belongs on my list. Parks and Rec, man. What a great show.
Dope. All right. It is on me, and I'm going to select the show that will win me this whole thing. I'm calling this
fucking
right
Friends.
No, I didn't even put Friends on my list. I refuse.
Did you say Fringe?
I knew he was not. I knew he
Fringe.
wouldn't put.
What did you say, Brian?
I knew you wouldn't put Friends on
Fuck
the list.
no.
Just on principle.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go ahead and take off Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
on my list.
That's a killer right
That's
there.
on my list, but there were a few things above it. Let's just say.
Yeah. So, no, never seen it before. No, never seen the show. Never seen the
I hate
episode.
that you play that way.
No, it's a great show. It's terrific.
All right, that's what I hear.
That is legit all I've heard about it too. Yeah, I don't watch it. I don't watch it, but Poprikans won't shut up about it. So I think you're going to get some sympathy votes on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah. So the less said about the movie, the better. This movie is why.
No, let's say some more about the movie.
This
M.
movie
Night
is
The vote will be
Shyamalan.
over by the time they hear
This is
it.
why I will never go see a movie with my mother when she picks again, because that was her idea, and I have not forgiven her for
Your
it.
mom wanted to go see The Last Airbender?
I was in town visiting, and she was like, "Oh, let's go check out a matinee. Nothing else is going on." I was like, "What's playing?" She's like, "Well, this Last Airbender's playing." I hadn't watched the show at all. I remember M. Night saying how much he loved the show, he wanted to do it right. So I was like, "Okay, cool, let's go check it out." Boy, was that show or that movie was shit. The 3D conversion was shit. Everything about that show was shit. And in my complaining, everybody's like, "Well, you haven't watched the actual TV show, dog?" No, I haven't. You need to go watch the show. I still haven't.
I actually finished watching the show and then capped it with a viewing of that movie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because
I'm
I was like, let's just fuck this up. And it's worse if you've seen the show.
Man, that's like you had a really nice steak and it was super yummy and covered in like butter sauce and shit, and then you went and ate a piece of Limburger cheese.
Well, I ate an actual turd afterwards. I would like your finest turd, sir.
Your mother Shyamalan you?
Pretty much.
Here's the
Wow,
twist.
I
This
think you
movie
can bring up
fucking
charges
sucks.
on that.
Yeah, from all reports, it is a very great show to sit down
for
and
what
watch.
I've heard, yes.
Yeah, it's on the list. It's something I need to check out. Back on me again, isn't it? Huh.
Yes.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for the woman vote. I'm gonna take Supernatural off the list.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that could be.
Nice.
That's the dark horse. That
Nice.
Supernatural
Oh,
is
yeah,
the dark
Yeah.
horse.
dude.
Yeah,
That's another one I binge watched all the way through just because I
want
had to
my
catch up.
damn
Ladies
gauntlet
love
back.
Sam and Dean. They
The
love
ladies
them.
love
Those fuckers in their car.
Moose and Squirrel.
About 48 seasons, as far as I know. Actually, I have it on here as 2005, 168 seasons.
Oh God.
It's 15 seasons, you fucking hater.
I was joking. I used to joke with my friend who works at the local CW here that like there would be a, they rebooted Charmed.
Yeah.
I said, what
Yeah.
I want to see is a Supernatural reboot that starts before the original run ends. so it's like you've still got new episodes of old Supernatural airing alongside of the reboot.
New, old, and new.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I'm guessing you've not watched that show, have you?
No.
Damn it.
It's good.
I'm
Look,
pretty
man.
sure I made a disclaimer at the beginning of this show.
I fought that show tooth and nail. I was like, I don't watch that CW bullshit. Oh, this is sexy fucking people, and they probably fuck all the time, and there's not much of a story there, right? But people were like, no, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. People that whose opinions I trust are like, you gotta watch this show. I started watching that show, man. I couldn't stop. That show's fucking dope.
It's good.
It's fucking dope. Man.
All right, then. Have you seen any Supernatural, John?
Not a one.
It's
Not
money.
the closest I've got. The closest I've gotten is going to Heroes Con and seeing that car.
They've done
All
done
right.
some bananas episodes of that show, and it's very tongue in cheek. It's very meta. There was an episode where they went into
Scooby-Doo.
an episode of Scooby Doo.
Yep.
And that's
It
why
was
I won't
fantastic.
watch this show.
Yeah.
It was fantastic though, man. Like, because that's what, well, they spent all the time in the show, like seasons and seasons and seasons, talking about how Scooby-Doo is one of their favorite shows because that's what they used to watch when their dad would leave the apartment and leave them alone together. And they would watch Scooby-Doo. And so then they had the episode where they were in Scooby-Doo and like yelling at Fred, and like Dean wanted to fuck Daphne and was trying to cock block Fred all the time.
Yeah.
Fred didn't understand. Like the show, man. The show is so clever and good.
It's good.
Yeah.
All righty then. Well,
Bastard taking it off my list.
yeah, there you have it. Apparently, Supernatural is some shit. Y'all go check it out. Pete.
Look how little he cares. How little he cares.
He's playing the
About
game. He's playing the
he just
game.
stepped on.
Playing the game, my friend.
Walking up.
Going home with that. Go on.
I'm angry. All right. So my next pick, 23 seasons of this fucking show.
Sold. I am sold on whatever it is.
23 seasons of this fucking show, and never once has it not gotten its cultural touchstone wrong. Never once.
It's number 50 on my list.
Because of the way they're able to make the episodes in pretty much a couple days.
Yep.
They can hit every single current event every time. I'm talking about South Park.
Yes.
Boom.
Yep.
Yes.
South Park has and is consistently good. I've not seen an episode of South Park where, except for the April
Chef
Fool's
episode.
joke of the Terrence and Phillip, where we were going to find out who Cartman's dad is, and instead we got an entire episode of Terrence and Phillip, which was
Was
fucking
it called
stupid.
like Not Without My Anus?
Not without my anus. That's
Yeah.
right.
Terrence and Phillip, Not Without My Anus.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful. But looking back, like one of the cleverest April Fool's jokes, really just a fuck you to all of our fans. Fuck
Yeah.
you. Watch this. You're so mad. And then like I remember the entire fan base turned on them, and then they still got it back because it's a great show. Yeah, it touches on everything and still manages to not take a side. Equally shits on every single thing that there is. So
Yeah, it was like in its initial incarnation, I was like, okay, this is funny. It's crude. It's probably not going to last, it's not going to stand the test of time. But here we are today, and they're still dropping episodes.
and they're still funny.
Yeah, they're still like relevant.
I was
Yeah.
watching it the other day. It was fucking hilarious. Integrity Farms. Integrity.
Yeah, I never got into this show. Like the humor just doesn't do it for me. Like, there's another one I've gotten a couple of chuckles out of, and I'm like, well.
Oh, come on. You don't like dick and fart jokes?
I'm a huge fan. I lean to Kevin Smith for my dick and fart jokes.
Right. Yeah,
South Park. I don't like the animation. I don't care for any of the characters. Just didn't quite do it for me.
There was an episode I watched. I don't watch it often anymore, but there was the one episode where they got the Alexa devices.
Yep.
Like 2 years ago, and they trolled everybody because like every time they would say Alexa on the show, your device in home would queue up and start responding to whatever they were saying on screen. And they did it like probably 20 or 30 times that episode. Like it was insane and it was hilarious.
Oh yeah. See, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's like they'll sit down and think of something like that.
The level of irreverence is like above and beyond what you would expect from a TV show.
Because it's not just jokes. They will literally mess with their audience.
Yeah.
Like during the show, because they'll touch on stuff that just happened a couple days before the episode airs.
Yeah.
You know, and then like use it to fuck with you. And figure out different ways to get several different seemingly unrelated things that happened that week to mesh together into a plot where someone dies. It's just a fantastic show, and I can't believe it's still on, but I gotta pick it. There it is.
Cool.
South Park.
All right then, Germain, rounding out the first half of your list and the first half of this episode.
I'm gonna go with probably one of the funniest shows I've ever seen in my lifetime. I don't like this one bit. I was hearing all these things about this show, and and I had to kind of see for myself. So I watched an episode or two, and I've never seen an episode and not just outright howled. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
I knew
okay.
it.
Oh,
I knew it. That's exactly what I thought you were doing there. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like a very mean Seinfeld.
It's like you wouldn't want to be in the same room with the characters from Seinfeld, but you wouldn't want to be on the same planet.
No, because they are.
It's Always Sunny.
They are very unlikable.
They are
characters.
vile human beings.
Yes.
It's charted by the what happens to Rickety Cricket over the course of the series.
Oh my God! Yes.
They ruined this man's life.
I watched a later episode with Rickety Cricket first, and then went back and stayed. I was like, "Oh my God, what happened to this man?"
That's where he started.
Oh my God!
I binged the first 4 seasons in probably 3-4 days, and I was like, it's too much. It's too much. And I never got back to it.
Just the titles alone on some of the episodes.
Right. The smash cut to the titles is always.
It's like the gang gets addicted to cocaine or something like crack or something like that.
It's not like they're going to get addicted to cocaine. Boop, the gang gets addicted to cocaine.
The gang solves the energy crisis.
Yeah.
Are you always
never watched one episode? Ever.
Oh my God!
Again, it's another one of those everybody keeps telling me to watch, but I haven't got on it yet.
It's just the bonkers shit that happens. You remember that episode where Puff Daddy showed up as like a therapist and was like, and he kept playing the bass lines from New Kids on the Block songs on a bass guitar? Like seriously, his name was what was his name? Like Dr. Jinx or something? Like I swear to God, this is a thing that happened on that show.
Oh God,
and
it's just so ridiculous.
There was this great episode where they did a wrestler send up. With,
where Roddy Piper
was in it, and he was like the guy like Mickey Rourke and the wrestler.
Yeah, he was living in his car and stuff. And he pulls out something to get an autograph. Was like, is that a parking ticket?
All right then, Mr. Martin, you will round out our first.
No, I'm done. I withdraw. Okay. Oh man. Oh God, that's a funny show, and that probably would have been next up for me.
I love how it seems like Brian is the least prepared for
this.
I've had a good chunk of my list already sniped up. So
I just had like a list of shows, and I'm like, oh, you know what's great? This show, and I just kept kind of adding on to it, and I've added since we've been sitting here to it. Actually, like Wings. I mean, Wings is way down there, but it's on my list. Guys.
Brian is the most real time
on your list. So that's the most
Barney Miller. Oh man, I forgot that one. Yeah, that's good. I am going to go with the one show that does end on a somewhat controversial note that, I thought it ended the most logical way possible. I saw it going in this direction. I don't know why anybody would have been particularly surprised by it, but I think it was just a remarkable piece of television. Battlestar Galactica.
God damn it!
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I knew that was going at some point.
That's my next pick. That's the next one.
Talk about some cliffhanger finales, though. I mean, like that show went in so many surprising directions through the course of its run.
It is so far
the internment camp season.
God, yeah.
Nobody sees this coming.
That show is legit my second favorite TV show of all time.
I think it's
of
terrific.
all time, dude. Battlestar Galactica. I love that they planned out how long they were going to make it happen, wrote an ending. Like that entire last season was a build up to the ending.
Yeah.
And then was still a red herring before the ending.
Yes, right?
Genius,
I mean, the actual final scene of that show is really something.
Yeah, it's
all of this has happened before.
Yeah.
It will happen again.
Such a great show. God damn.
The only reason it's number 30 something on my list, I think. It's number 29 on my list. The only reason I did not put it higher is because you don't really hear a whole lot of Poprika talking about Battlestar Galactica. There's a handful of people that love it. And everyone else is like, oh, yeah, it's a show that I watched. Or
I feel like if people see it and they remember, they're like, yeah, that shit was pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't know if people are talking about it anymore, but it's like one of those things. It's like, you know what?
Sci-Fi Wire, their Battlestar Galacticast is, of course, the best black nerd on the planet, Mark Bernardin, and number 6, Trisha Helfer. And they go episode by episode by episode, and they just talk about it, and then they'll bring on randomly Edward James Olmos will come on, or Gaius Baltar will be on. Ronald Moore's been on there a couple times.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it is. It is
Star Trek Next Generation connection right there.
Yeah, Ron Moore and DS9. That is a great podcast. Plink there for the Battlestar Galacticast. It is equal parts amusing because Mark Bernardin is absolutely ridiculous, and Trisha Helfer has never actually seen the series.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So this is like a first time for her going through it. And she's like, oh, I remember when we filmed that. And
she's in most of the episodes.
Right. It's like,
who's she that? Continues to star in my dreams.
Oh, for sure.
It's like
that's not going away.
Johnny Depp said he's never seen a movie that he's ever made. Wow. Which is so weird to me. Like, this is your paycheck.
In that show, I think the episode 33 is one of the greatest episodes that's ever been on television ever.
Yes.
Of any show ever.
Yes.
33 is,
and that's how you start
white
your
knuckle
series.
The entire time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like that was
episode
kicked
2.
It off pretty much.
That was episode 2. Unless you count the pilot.
Pilot.
And the anthem of the colonies is the theme song to the original show.
Yes.
Yes. And then you got was that Richard Hatch coming back out of there? And all
Yeah.
that
You had a lot of like
Richard Hatch's character is completely the opposite of his original Apollo. Tom Zarek is
a great character.
He's starts out as a piece of shit, and then by his arc's end, you're like, oh my god, I love him.
Hey, he's a less shitty piece of shit, man.
And for those of you who like are, we can't include Firefly on this
on
this countdown, but the Serenity does appear in the very first episode of Battlestar Galactica up in the sky.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh wow!
All right,
I never noticed that. That's crazy.
And you've never seen Battlestar, have you?
I have not.
Oh my god, Jamon! Fix it immediately.
Fix that immediately.
That's the next podcast, Jamon's gaping blind spots.
we just rolling through this, or are we gonna take a break?
We're gonna roll into it, unless you want to take a break.
I don't want to take a break.
Let's keep on rolling.
I'm good. Let's roll.
I ain't got to do nothing.
Except for the next show after this.
Battlestar Galactica's off the list. I'm so sad right now.
All right. This is probably going to be the most recent show. And I think this show is, and on my list anyway, the most recent show on my list.
2003.
So, this is a remarkable piece of animated television. Its fan base is a fucking cluster.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. I know.
But I think it exceeds its own premise in some very, very poignant ways throughout the show, and that's Rick and Morty.
Yep.
Not even on my list, I don't think. I legit, that never even occurred to me to put on this list.
He's going to get votes on that.
Yeah.
He's going to get votes.
That's going to get some love.
Rick and Morty, I watched the first episode of it a long, long time ago, and I was like, I don't know. This really doesn't do it for me. And then I watched the second episode maybe 6 or 7 months later, and I was like, okay, I get it now. And it is the most fucked up show about a family dynamic that I think I've ever seen. Like I don't think there's a family in television that is more messed up than Rick Sanchez's. Yeah. The jokes are terrific. The premise of each individual episode is just always hilarious. There's a Mad Max send up. The episode where the dog gains sentience is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The Jurassic Park style amusement park that's in some dude's body. Like, I mean, it's
Total Recall. It's like,
yeah. The show is bananas. The Council of Ricks.
Yeah.
Yes.
The fact that the two main characters, spoiler, died very early in the series and got replaced by completely different Rick and Mortys and just kept going. They're buried in the fucking backyard.
Yeah.
Like
no idea.
The original Rick and Morty are buried in the backyard of that house.
They Cronenberg their world up so bad that they
Cronenberg the world.
They literally call it that.
That's what they call it. Yeah.
I gotta watch this show.
This show is wild, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, that's 6 on my list.
I remember the episode where they kept dividing realities, so the screens kept going, and they would follow, but then you'd watch them diverge a little bit, and then they'd create another one, and that would diverge. Like,
all right, Mr. Jackson, let's start in the back half of your list there, sir.
Yes. I am going to kind of jump back in kind of the sci-fi genre here. Going to do a show that I recently discovered on Netflix a couple years ago. Some great groundbreaking episodes. One that actually inspired one of our podcasts.
Is it Another Life?
Black Mirror.
Okay. Yeah.
African American Mirror.
Yeah, you're thinking of Bandersnatch.
Yes.
oh, Bandersnatch is fantastic.
Oh,
God, Bandersnatch is just
So neat.
that show.
the greatest thing coming out of 2018.
it's the spiritual successor to Twilight Zone, obviously.
Yes.
It's all technology based, and there were some fucked up episodes in that series.
Yes,
you saw some people like before they got big, like Daniel Kaluuya, Haley Atwell, Domhnall Gleeson. Who else was in it? Jodie Whittaker was in there. Yeah.
I've only seen. And the good thing about it is you can just put on any episode.
Yeah, and you don't have to. You don't necessarily have to binge it either. You can just pop in an episode here and there, because since it's an anthology, everything's a one and done.
Yeah, it's a one and done. That's great. Good call, sir.
Yes,
Good call.
love that show. Love it.
I feel like you can judge people based on what episodes of Black Mirror that they like.
Yeah. See, my
like
favorite
the one about the clout will always be where they got the scores or whatever. That woman just has the shittiest day and her score drops. That's my business right there.
I think I actually like that Daniel Kaluuya one with the
they're paddling for the energy or whatever.
Yeah, with the money and all that stuff. And
What you got any? Have you watched any besides Bandersnatch?
No, it's not something I've been able to touch on yet. But I had to watch Bandersnatch just because a choose your own adventure show. I loved the choose your own adventure books when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like I read the shit out of those. And
I got it for my daughter this year for Christmas.
First couple times I read a book, I would cheat, but then it was like, no. The fun of this book is not cheating. It's finding out what's going to happen. But I would always put my thumb in it.
Yeah. All right, let's see if
Let's
it
go to
ends.
the thing. Oh, my dad? Fuck. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back and make a different choice. But I didn't want to stop reading it.
On the other hand, it made for a really quick and easy book report.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then I died. The end.
The end. I didn't finish. That was it.
Killed by the bear in the cave. The end.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Choose Your Own Adventure books. So being able to actually have the technology now to be able to pick a choice and have the movie go that way. Awesome.
The fact that they've been doing it in video games for years already, like, I'm surprised they hadn't done it sooner.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. They just needed the technology, I think, to be there.
Yeah.
And make sure that the storytelling was seamless enough.
Right.
And the fact that Netflix is in Bandersnatch makes it all the more meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, what you got?
Okay, so here's my issue with this whole fucking game, all right?
He wants to pick Magnum PI.
The reboot.
He really wants to pick Magnum PI.
You are really kind of close. See, the problem I have is that
Don't have a problem with the draft. Have a problem with the Poprikans.
That's what I'm saying. This is a problem with
they haven't seen enough
things
TV.
like the action. Yeah, there's enough stuff that they haven't seen, and there's so much really, really good television that contributed to the kind of television we have today.
You can go ahead and say the Jack Benny program.
Just say Remington Steele.
See, ironically
Simon and Simon.
enough, all the stuff you guys are saying is shit that I watched, but none of that made my list. But there are certain shows that gave us the type of TV we have today. Fuck it, I'm gonna pick it for myself. I might not get any votes from this, but I am picking this bitch for myself.
People will never get this gauntlet.
That's okay. I just like being on the show.
All right.
We would not have shows like American Idol, The Voice, Masked Singer. We would not have shows like that today if it were not for shows like The Carol Burnett Show, which I'm totally putting on my list.
Hey, all right.
No argument there.
The Carol Burnett Show is probably the greatest variety hour that's ever been on television ever.
Agreed.
Ever. It's
Dean Martin had a good little variety show too.
This is the talent that was assembled for the Carol Burnett show.
if you think about who was on that show, Carol Burnett, Tim Conway, fucking Harvey Keitel, or not Harvey Keitel, Harvey Korman, Bad Lieutenant himself was on the show.
I sure as hell watched it.
Like,
Harvey Korman, yeah.
I mean, these people ended up being in Mel Brooks movies, and they were on the cutting edge of modern day comedy, and. Which, by the way, the Carol Burnett Show ran for 11 seasons, which is more than a lot of television shows today.
Yeah.
More than a lot of people's lists right now. You know what I mean? The Carol Burnett Show was instrumental in defining what a variety hour show should be like.
Right on.
Plus, Carol Burnett, she was one of, at the time, still to this, I mean, she was just honored recently, but still to this day, was one of the most powerful women in Hollywood, period.
Yep.
One of the most powerful. So I wouldn't be able to do a list of the greatest shows of all time without actually putting one of the greatest shows of all time on the list.
Yeah,
so that is why the Carol Burnett Show has made my list.
I just see the Poprikans Googling Carol Burnett right now.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I know, but goddamn it, if we're making a list of the greatest of all time, I can't sit here and fucking pander like Seed. I'm gonna play. He's holding the gauntlet. Half my show list is shit I haven't seen. He just wants the goddamn gauntlet. Go fucking buy one, pal.
Where do you think that one came from? Thanks, Patreon.
But okay, yeah. So Carol Burnett, my number 6. There you go.
All right. So Pete's done with his rant.
And possibly this draft.
All right, hey,
walked off halfway through the
I
draft.
got good shit on the rest of this.
I guess we'll have.
He dropped the mic. He dropped the mic.
The role of Pete Lentz we played by Brandy Blanton for all of 2020.
Carol Burnett Show is that good shit, though.
Yes, I'm
it
gonna exercise because I picked an old show.
We're not going to argue with this quality.
I'm going to go ahead and go into the animated realm for the second time.
Wait, is it your turn? I think.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Pete's not used to being number 2.
Right, he ran it so long he forgot he already picked the show. If I may.
The great thing is everybody's going to think that Daryl is Pete, and they're going to see Carol Burnett Show on your list.
No,
and
that's
be
Pete.
like,
That's Pete.
The fuck was Seed thinking?
I'm going to go ahead and take X-Men 94.
Oh,
I was thinking about that too. Just to,
You can have that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? You're not a big fan of the 94
Not
X-Men,
really.
huh?
I mean,
man, that was
I got to get that nostalgia throw.
that was the
I was
the
thinking
definition.
about dropping that on them just for the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, it is possibly outside of comics the greatest version of X-Men we've gotten.
I won't disagree with that.
The movies certainly didn't do it. Other X-Men cartoon shows have came since then. I think like
Evolution was
Wolverine
good.
and the X-Men or whatever. Or something.
Wolverine and X-Men actually was pretty
X-Men
decent.
Evolution was really good.
Yeah. This is the joint though. I remember seeing this. Awesome ass theme song. I mean,
that's true.
That is one of the hypest theme songs of all time. Yeah. Fuck Disney Plus for completely screwing up the episode order.
Yeah, right.
It's a mess.
Never has a whole community mourned for a character that got about 3 minutes of screen time in Morph when he dies in that first episode. My buddy still mourns the loss of Morph.
He was
in his
like
late 30s.
He shows up and it's like, who is this guy? He is the X-Men's version of a red shirt.
Yes, they literally created him to kill him.
Right? There's a mall baby chili fries. There's so much good shit in this joint. Great depiction of Magneto. They do great adaptations of things like Days of Future Past, of Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
Yeah, it is an awesome
Some
show.
straight up adaptations of
Straight
some
up
really
good
classic.
adaptations.
I will say that one of the greatest things about that show is that Gambit would not pass the muster on the Me Too movement.
Oh
today.
God, no! God, no!
I mean,
Not
the
even
depiction of him
close.
on a Saturday morning kids show would not have passed that today.
He was like Pepe Le Pew.
One of the remarks he makes to Jubilee at one point, when I think they're on Genosha or something, he's holding her over his shoulder and running away, and he says, "How do you sweat so much, petite, and not lose weight?" Jesus Christ, Gambit!
Mon ami.
Just sleazy.
Such a
Sleazy
dirtbag.
ass dude. He is. That's why I love him. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my next pick. It's probably my last of the animated joints before I get back to some serious shit. I'm taking Futurama.
Yeah.
That was on my radar.
It was between that
Yeah.
and Rick and Morty for me.
That was definitely on my radar.
Talk about a show that leaves, comes back, leaves, comes back, leaves, comes back. Futurama is better than The Simpsons, I think.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant show.
Sharp, brilliant writing.
Overall, like if we're looking at the entire breadth of its run, maybe that's not fair because The Simpsons just been so in that, but I think that Futurama is far more consistent than The Simpsons is.
Correct. I will say that. And it gives me one of my favorite fictional characters of all time.
John Zoidberg?
No, although I do love Leslie from
Why
time to
not
time will
Zoidberg?
Zoidberg out of the room.
What about Zoidberg? Just give me something crawling with parasites.
It's Zap Brannigan.
Zap Brannigan,
It's Zap
yes.
Brannigan.
is
That
so
guy is
great.
willing to throw as many bodies as possible to complete a mission. I'm a huge, it is well known in Poprika that Kirk is my favorite Star Trek captain, and that's the obvious lampooning. The fact that Brannigan's got the little pouch of a gut that Shatner has in the later episode.
no pants.
And no pants half the time. And the guy doing a Phil Hartman impersonation.
Yes.
Also touches me because Phil is my favorite Saturday Night Live character or actor of all time. It's just the adventures they get into are just so wacky and goofy, and through all that the development of Fry and Lilo's relationship moves all the way through that, and the wacky characters. So much good shit comes out of Futurama. The death by Snoo.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good shit in there. My man witch.
Some of the Easter eggs in there are like just phenomenal.
Like Bender does a Salvador Dali. Like alarm clock rings and he just smashes it and then breaks it over the side of the table.
I found out
for some reason. I don't know why, but that gets me every time.
because I found out because when they did that episode with Nibbler, find out Nibbler initially pushing Fry into that cryogenic chamber,
And you can see
you
his
can
shadow.
literally go. You can go back if you go back to the first episode. You actually see his shadow and stuff. Like
Yeah, it's well thought out.
Yeah.
Is what this series is. What's your thoughts on Futurama there, Pete?
Oh, I didn't actually watch the entire run, but I would never change it when it was on.
Yeah,
I caught it once the run when it was in syndication. It was still running, but then it was in syndication. They'd play it all the time.
Yeah.
Many good characters, lots of good callbacks. I love the heads in jars.
Oh yeah.
That Star Trek episode with all of the surviving cast of the original series in their heads in jars.
Yeah.
And what was it, the energy entity that had captured them because he had written like a fan fiction script and he wanted them all to reenact it.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to go for broke and get what you love.
Like Shatner trying to deliver his lines, "This ship, whom I love like a woman."
I love one of the things that I love too is that it's granted it looks it's very Simpsons looking, but then there's a lot of computer generated shit happening on that show too.
Yes.
Like the animation is
Top-notch.
interstellar, top notch. I love the consistency. They never don't forget shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things that really, you see episodes from separated by seasons, and it's always like the Quickie Mart, but from Simpsons, it's like that's always a thing.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that show. I didn't watch it as much as a lot of the crazy fans do, but I would never turn it when it was on. It was good.
All right, Pete, it's on you, sir.
Okay. Damn you, Poprikans.
Soul Train.
Don't watch it.
Soul Train.
Rearranging the
Good
magnets.
call, good call.
All right, so
Don Cornelius.
I have a feeling later on my list we're gonna come back to some old game changing shit, but I gotta bring it back here. I'm gonna do what C does all the time, and I'm going to pick a show I've never seen an episode of ever.
About time. Good call.
There you go.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, that was
7 seasons.
I've seen one episode.
that was rattling around in my head.
7 seasons gave us Joss Whedon.
Yes.
God damn it.
Yeah, I put up a poll on Poprika.
Based on a fucking stupid movie. I hate the movie.
Hey, put some respect on Luke Perry's name.
That movie is super dumb and very tongue-in-cheek humor. And then from what I understand, the show is not like that at all.
From what
I
I
don't know,
understand,
but-
the movie was not supposed to be that. That's
Yeah, I heard
how
that
they
too.
chose to
Yeah,
film
That's
it.
part of the reason the show came about, was because Joss Whedon was unhappy with how the movie was, I would say, interpreted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's another one of those, cultural touchstones that won't go away. So I got to put it on my list.
It's good.
The only show that's going to appear on my list that I've never actually seen.
All right then.
Just trying to get some sympathy votes after dropping a terrible F-bomb.
So we good now? We good?
That's Buffy. We are. Yeah, I put up a poll. What do you think is better, Buffy or Angel? Specifically for this draft to see which one I want to try to put on this list.
Oh, okay, so I do want to address the one post that you put up that one day. Oh, it's Poprika TV draft. What shows are your favorite? I know you're over there calling the fucking list.
No, at that point-
Paprikans go on there and post their TV shows. I'm like, I'm picking that and that and that.
No, at that point, I've had my list ready for weeks because I've had a couple of. I go into work at 3:00 in the morning sometimes. Shit's slow. I got nothing else to do. So my list have been ready before I posted that. I wanted people to post theirs just to keep the post at the top of the comments.
Right,
so
right,
people
right.
would know that everything is scientific in Poprika, man. Everything is scientific.
See, I accuse you of that, but that's literally what I did to make my list. I looked at that thread and I went, oh my God, there's gold in them there hills.
All right, we got to pick this bad boy up. Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
I'm got 20 minutes.
All right, throwing a curveball here. Going to go with a show that's got some ironic popularity all of a sudden now. Golden Girls.
All right.
Hey, all right. I was wondering if
Golden
anybody was going to go for
Girls.
this.
Oh,
yeah.
well, also a badass theme song.
Yes, thank you for being a friend. Oh my God, I used to like the show back in the day.
Yeah, I used
that
to
was
watch
my
all the time.
jam. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the cast was incredible. Like, yeah, B. Arthur, Rue McClanahan was like,
Yo,
just played
grimiest.
just a straight slut, man.
I love that they had like it's just an old ass woman still trying to get hers.
Yes.
I love the irony of that show of Estelle Getty being the youngest member of the cast.
Right. Yeah.
Playing
she
Blanche's
was
mom.
she was cold blooded.
Yeah, Stella Getty's my girl, right there.
Yes.
All right then, Mr. Martin. Did not contribute to that Golden Girls conversation because he's hard in thought. With his
planning his
unorthodox, unorganized list over
He's
here.
planning his next move.
Planning his,
really
his
am. I
next
really
flanking
am.
maneuver. Trying
What
to
was
keep
my
that
last pick
gauntlet.
was Rick and Morty.
Your
And
last
the
pick
pick
was Rick and
before that
Morty.
was...
You have your only animated, sir, is Rick and Morty.
what was the one right before that?
One right before that's Battlestar Galactica.
Star Galactica, that's
Yeah, you
right.
son of a
Man
bitch.
does not know his own list.
You know, yeah, because nothing on my actual list that I'm working from is in any sort of order.
I believe that.
Yeah,
Neither.
it's obvious. I am going to say
Game of Thrones is still out there.
Surprisingly,
No one cares.
That's the death knell.
Right,
If you
I-
choose that, your whole list is done.
I'm going to pick a show that I haven't seen, that a lot of people seem to have very, very strong feelings about, and I have every intention of watching it. I just haven't gotten to it yet, and that is The Americans.
yeah.
Good call.
Yes.
Good
I've heard so
call.
many good things about that.
That
Yeah.
is a preferred show of Leslie Ellsworth's.
Yeah.
A lot of mentions of that show in that thread you put up.
And
Yes, I noticed
if I'm not
that.
mistaken, I think that show just ended.
Yeah, I think this year.
Yeah, and I think that everybody, it was one of those shows where it ended and everybody was kind of okay with it. So
Yeah, I didn't hear too much complaining about it.
Yeah.
I'm okay putting it on my list.
All right. Has anybody seen this?
I have not.
All right, then. Does that make the first show that none of us have actually watched? Yeah, I like the premise because they are Russian spies integrated into America during the Cold War. Correct?
Yes, during the 1950s.
All right, sold, done.
And
and
I
done.
mean, you put Carrie Russell in like a 1950s housewife kind of posing scenario, and I'm like, yes, I'm interested in her show.
You could put Carrie Russell anywhere and I'd be interested.
Very, very true.
Watch Carrie Russell in Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
That's right.
That's not far off.
This weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, this weekend at
All
the
right,
time
so-
of this recording.
So the next show I'm going to pick is something I have seen a lot of, and between this and The Simpsons, I don't think there's a show that was as transformative for me in terms of my sense of humor and developing that early on. I think this defined a good chunk of who I am and continue to be, and that is Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Nice pull.
Wow.
Nice pull.
Unorthodox. I did not see that coming. Yeah.
I just
cancel at Netflix.
This is it. This is it, man. The joking and the fast paced kind of jokes that are all across the map, but reacting to what you see on screen, like that's who I am, and I feel like a lot of people have tried to take lessons from that and tried to employ it themselves, but it's an art, and these guys are so skilled at what they do. Whether you're a fan of the Joel era, whether you're a fan of the Mike era, whether you just discovered it with Netflix, the jokes come rapid fire. I talked earlier about how like I still quote The Simpsons a lot. I quote Mystery Science Theater just as often.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. I'll throw Mystery Science Theater quotes out there all day long.
Okay.
And some of those episodes I've watched over and over and over. I've seen the movie Manos Hands of Fate so many times now. The movie Laser Blast, which evidently, who is it that at the end of the episode they talk about, here's all the movies that, I can't remember which, it was like either Gene Shalit or one of those critics back in the 80s. Here's all the movies he thought were worse than Laser Blast, like that got lower star ratings.
Yeah.
And it's like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is there, like, In the Heat of the Night. Like it's like they'll just keep throwing out movies. So they're just flipping through his book saying, oh, he gave this because he gave the movie 3 stars or something. And it was like, not great.
Gene.
But
All right.
Mystery Science Theater.
There it is. Good.
right,
Yeah,
good.
you might get a little interesting sway on that one.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Yes, I'm going to go with one of those shows that was probably initially canceled way too soon, way before its time. Probably one of the most brilliant shows I've seen on television, Arrested Development.
It was on my list and I've hovered around it, but I'm
Yes.
just, those last 2 seasons make me nervous.
I actually thought, because I didn't finish 5, but 4 I thought was just a brilliant in concept.
I agree.
Yes.
I think 4 was really, really great.
Yes.
I cannot make it a season of that show.
Those first 3 seasons, oh man.
Yes.
So many quotes. There's
God.
always money in the banana stand.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I made a huge mistake. It's
infinitely
like, yes.
quotable. And the great thing about Arrested Development is that it subverts the normal kind of sitcom where you like deliver a joke, deliver the punchline.
Yeah.
The punchlines on Arrested Development often come 3 episodes before the joke happens.
Some come episodes later.
Yeah.
They make so many callbacks to previous episodes and stuff. Yeah, it's
All right.
It's
all
outstanding.
right.
Yeah. And for a long time, and it still might be my favorite comedy series ever.
All right. Favorite comedy series ever.
it's up
Arrested
there. It's up
Development.
there. It's definitely up there.
Infinitely rewatchable.
Mr. Lentz.
All right. We got to go back a bit. This is another cultural zeitgeist show that I have not seen a lot of, but have always appreciated that it's, the people hold it in such high esteem.
Oh, boy.
Seinfeld.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good pull.
Yes.
Yeah,
Number 30.
What
That
is
was
the
on my
deal with Pete Lentz's list?
I had that on my
Seinfeld.
list.
Yeah, it's good.
9 seasons of a show about nothing.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
That manages to retain all of its self-awareness as it stays a show about nothing.
Yes.
So, giving us a lot of colorful characters, giving us Festivus, which I hear people who've never seen the fucking show talk about.
Yeah, like Festivus is still a thing.
The soup Nazi.
The
Soup
workbooks.
Nazi, no soup for you. So many.
I work
quotes.
as a learning specialist, effectively, and one of the books we have with passages to help kids gain fluency is about fucking Festivus. Like I'm reading about it with kids and all the polls and the feats of strength and like, oh my god, I cannot
Airing
believe
of grievances.
Airing of
grievances is mentioned in this thing.
TMP's network has a whole show called Airing Your Grievances. They just talk about Seinfeld shit.
Now, see, all of that stuff we just talked about, we didn't talk about a single episode.
Right.
Just
But that's
stuff.
it. It's so ingrained in culture.
It's the library card Nazi, man.
Yada, yada, yada.
Yada yada yada. Oh my
Frilly
God.
shirt dude, the low talker.
The close talker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That's one of the shows that bonded me and my mom. We used to watch Seinfeld all
Yeah,
the time.
my family and I, that was another one of those shows that we
It's one I bonded with my dad over too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just see what I'm talking about belongs on the list.
Belongs on
Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. Good call, sir. Good
Absolutely.
call. It is over to moi. I think I've picked 3 animated joints now, so it's time to get back into the realm of live action. I'm going to take Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Like,
Cool.
Not the reaction.
No argument. No arguments.
It's outstanding. No,
Oh, what's next?
it's great, and Renee Auberjonois just died.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. Hope I can get that
Get the
right.
sympathy vote.
Sympathy vote, baby. Sympathy vote.
Shame.
I will take it.
Yeah.
And it's back around on me again. Let me go ahead and scratch off Star Trek. We got some overseas Poprikans. Let me go ahead and take off Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Yep. That was on my list. It was between that and Mystery Science Theater.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Blah, 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 blah. 4 seasons of just absolute ridiculous nonsense bullshit.
Let's see what we can get away with. That was their mantra. Let's see how far we can push the envelope.
Still one of my favorite things.
Pettit is no more.
And the thing is, they pushed the envelope to such a degree that the censors weren't even sure what they were looking at, I think. Which is how they got away with so much.
They wanted to do, they wouldn't, the network BBC wouldn't let them, but they wanted to have an episode where the volume got lower and lower and lower and lower. And so people have to keep turning it up a little bit and it ends with an explosion. Just a loud ass explosion. Like, no, you're going to blow out the speakers of these people's TVs.
There's so many good moments on that show. How not to be seen.
The fish slapping dance.
The lumberjack song.
The lumberjack song.
Silly Walks, Minister of Silly Walks.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good shit that comes out of that.
Yeah.
And the animation.
Terry
Gilliam's animation is just brilliant.
What a wacky.
Still on Netflix, I do.
Yeah, it
believe.
is on Netflix.
Did you ever get into the Pythons?
I saw the movie. I saw what was
Holy Grail.
Holy Grail. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's your main
That's pretty much my
exposure to
yeah.
All right then.
I love Holy Grail, but yeah, that's
All right then. Cool. Well,
The movie they never finished.
Background to you, Pete.
And music at the end.
All right.
The intermission music.
So I have 2 more chances to lock some shit down.
Yes,
here.
you do.
And man, we're gonna go with. I'm gonna go with a show, and my list is totally gonna date me right now. I'm gonna go with another one of these game-changing shows from back in the day. There are so many shows and tropes we wouldn't have today if it wasn't for this show.
I Love Lucy.
Motherfucker, that's on my list.
It would not be a bad choice.
It would not be a bad choice, but no, I'm going to go with Hill Street Blues.
Ooh. I was just thinking of that song.
I know. I think about that song I'm like
Great
all
theme
the time.
Yes, it is.
Hill Street Blues, creation of Stephen Bochco, who later would go on to do L.A. Law and
NYPD Blue.
NYPD Blue, which is,
That's the one that people always forget about. Is fucking NYPD Blue.
Dennis Francis' ass. But I mean, I think because of shows like Hill Street Blues, we got shows like Law and Order, which fucking ran forever. I don't even know why Law and Order's not on my list, but
Jerry fucking Orbach.
yeah, that's my man. Jerry Orbach's my man.
Jerry fucking Orbach.
Lenny Briscoe himself.
Fucking us at trivia.
But Hill Street Blues pushed the envelope of what you could show on television at a time when you were not. We're talking about 1982. You were not supposed to fucking push the envelope on television. That was not what was happening back then. And here you've got like elements. We're talking about racism, inner city policing, like justified shootings, and all the shit that today we're still talking about today. They were doing this shit 30 years ago on television, and just
Very good point.
breaking barriers, killing it, and so much we have today. I think we owe to Hill Street Blues. So
I can get down with that.
and it's one of the greatest theme songs of all time.
I feel like if we put out the show before voting, that might have swayed a vote or two.
All right.
Yeah. We should do a theme song draft.
I know. Everyone would vote Mike Post across the board.
It's all
He knows
Mike Post.
everything.
Here's our Mike Post draft.
I was thinking of doing the brackets for the next season of Poprika.
Theme songs?
No, that has been discussed. But Quentin Tarantino characters.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Wow.
that'd be a pretty nasty bracket. But anyways,
Damn.
Jermon, your pick is on you.
Yes. I am going to go with one of these shows that have stood the test of time. This show that is on to this day, Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
Good call, sir.
40 plus years.
Thank you for making that call and taking that off the board for me.
40 plus years of wildly varying quality.
Yes.
But when it's on.
It's on. It's on. I mean,
it is on.
It spawned various movies that are,
also
of varying qualities.
But it gave us Blues Brothers, one of the greatest musicals of all time.
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, even to this day, David S. Pumpkins, and there's still a lot of great characters and
Sweaty Balls.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
So much goodness
More
coming
cowbell.
out of there.
The copy guy.
Yeah, Will Ferrell coming out of there, Eddie Murphy, Aykroyd, like so many stars coming out of there.
Great stars coming out of that.
Yes.
Name one of these new age stars.
Cheeseburger.
And just Weekend Update in general. Baby.
Yeah.
One of the greatest
Weekend Update like now is probably really hit its stride.
Without
I think so.
SNL, you don't get The Daily Show.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Brian.
All right. Number 9 pick.
Number 9 and 10.
I am going to dip into animation. And you said Avatar a little while ago. I was not going to pick Avatar because I think that Legend of Korra is the superior show. Legend of Korra is my number 9 pick. Nice. It's the sequel to Avatar. It takes place about 50 or 60 years after the end of that series. And everything they fought for in Avatar: The Last Airbender gets flipped on its head. And the interpersonal relationships are more complex. The villains and their relationships with the conflict in the show is a lot more complex and deep. And it ends up at the end, spoilers, giving us a same-sex relationship, which is extremely cutting edge and they did it in such a tactful, artful way, and it didn't feel. It happens at the end, and you're like, thinking back to the whole run of that series, you're like, I believe these two have been in love with each other for a while. Like, it's just these little seeds that are planted throughout the show, and it is a glorious ending to one of the best modern animated shows around.
And your 10th.
My 10th, oh God, guys, you have no idea how badly I wanted to pick Stargate SG-1 for this. And, I was like, if I have Breaking Bad as my number 1, I will absolutely make my 10th Stargate SG-1.
Because there's no way.
Because it's like, guys, come at me, bro. Come at me. But no, I'm not going to make it Stargate SG-1. Even though this, I don't know, maybe this is not as, maybe that one would have been a better choice. But I'm going to go with Quantum Leap.
Yes! Nice,
Wow.
nice.
I don't know. People still watch it. People still talk about it. It's still
I
floating
absolutely
around
still
out there.
watch that show, man.
But and there are episodes that are hokey and don't really stand up very well. But as a concept and a week to week kind of series, it's so amazing how different they can make every episode.
Another great theme song.
It's great Mike Post theme. One of my favorite Mike Post themes. And for 5 seasons it ran, and it put Sam Beckett into some very, very interesting, compromising spots that were very, very challenging at times.
Oh, boy.
All right.
I remember my dad, the first time he found out Sam leaped into a woman, just dismissing the show entirely. I can't believe they're having this guy walk around in drag. And I'm like, if you can't get beyond that, you're missing the whole goddamn point of this show.
Right.
That's right.
I was 9.
All right, so Brian's final list here. Star Trek: The Next Generation, The X-Files, Mad Men, The Office, the U.S. version, Battlestar Galactica, Rick and Morty, The Americans, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Avatar: Legend of Korra, and Quantum Leap.
God, when you say it out loud like that, I just want to
really
hand you a
good.
victory.
That's
That's pretty
strong
strong list.
list.
Pretty damn
That's
strong.
pretty good.
So Jackson, your last pick.
My last pick. Let's go back genre here. I'm going to just go ahead and get Star Trek, the original series.
All righty then. Star
TOS.
Trek.
Yes.
TOS.
It was the one. This is the Grande, the one that started it all.
Yeah.
Like, Captain Kirk, man, he was just that swagger, man. It was just something else.
Still my favorite of all the Star Treks.
Yes. I mean, it was groundbreaking television for its time. It had the first interracial kiss there.
Yeah.
So, oh man,
Probably first interspecies kiss.
Yeah, Kirk and everything.
So many good episodes.
Yes,
The
yes.
Doomsday Machine is always the one that pops up. City on the Edge of Forever is one of the best shows on television.
Amok Time.
Amok
Trouble with
Time,
Tribbles,
yeah.
like which I can't remember the name of the one. The one where Sulu flipped out and was fencing on, like
Oh,
trying to
Naked Time.
Naked
Yeah,
Time.
yeah,
Naked
yeah,
Time.
yeah. I love that.
Fencing in the hallways, shirtless.
Yeah.
All right.
Balance. Was it Balance
of
Power?
Terror?
Balance of Terror.
Yes.
Balance of Terror was great.
All right, Jamon's final list: Breaking Bad, Stranger Things, Chappelle's Show, Daredevil, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Black Mirror, Golden Girls, Arrested Development, Saturday Night Live, and Star Trek: The Original Series.
I think that Chappelle Show is a dark horse there.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yes, it is. All right, and Pete, your final pick, sir.
Oh man. Okay. Last one up. I'm gonna go with.
We're literally 2 minutes away from starting our next show.
I know. I'm gonna go with Cheers.
Good.
Cheers is a
Cheers.
great, excellent sitcom. Ted Danson, wonderful.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. That gave us Nom, Cliff,
Yeah.
Cliff Clavin. Gave us so many good
John
characters that are
Ratzenberger.
still today.
Those
Very
characters,
awesome.
I think more than any other show in the 80s, those characters felt like family members.
For sure.
You know,
Yes,
for
they did.
sure.
That's great writing.
So
Without
invested
that-
in 'em.
Without that, there's no Frasier.
Yes. Mhm. Oh,
Yep.
man.
Toss salad and scrambled eggs, baby.
Baby, I hear the blues. All right.
And one of the greatest theme songs of all time, Where Everybody Knows Your Name.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
I was drinking out of my Cheers cup. I got a Cheers mug from
From
the
Cheers,
actual
yeah.
mug.
Because when you walk into the bar, that song is playing. Like, as you walk in through the...
And I found the Cheers bar in Fallout 4 when I was playing. So
All right, Pete's final is The Simpsons, Sons of Anarchy, 24, Parks and Rec, South Park, The Carol Burnett Show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Seinfeld, Hill Street Blues, and Cheers. My final pick is Sherlock.
That was,
Nice,
I
nice.
thought about that as a pandering.
Yeah.
You
This
could
entire
get some
list
serious-
is supposed to be
You just
pandering.
locked in Leslie Ellsworth. Sherlock.
I don't know with the Americans.
That Cumberbatch.
I try to get that Cumberbatch appeal.
Bandersnatch Cumbersport.
It's been a great run, a wonderful modern adaptation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I think they picked no two better actors could have played Sherlock and Watson in
Not present day.
Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. I think that the whole thing rides more on Martin Freeman than it does Benedict Cumberbatch, but that's neither here nor there. My final list: The Wire, The Sopranos, The David Tennant Doctor Who, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Supernatural, The X-Men 1994 cartoon, Futurama, Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, Monty Python's Flying Circus, and Sherlock. We will see how all of this turns out.
You know, nobody picked Lost.
It-
I like
it
that
was-
was like
I
that was like
danced around that
kryptonite,
bitch,
you know?
yep.
Because and for every reason I talked about earlier, I was
Game of
like
Thrones.
that,
No
Game of
that
Thrones.
finale is so
I was-
divisive.
I
don't
danced
know
around
if I
Game
wanna
of
go
Thrones
there.
and Walking
Walking
Dead.
Dead was on my list, but
Walking
I was
Dead was on my
afraid.
list, too.
I was
No
so afraid.
way. Yeah,
Walking Dead's
Dead
not
was
even
not
on my
As
list.
strong as-
Friends was on my list.
Yeah, nope.
Nope.
I had Roseanne on my list too. Like but Roseanne is very much like herself. Roseanne Barr is such kryptonite
Yeah.
right now.
I had
It's like,
Penny Dreadful on the list there. I had Oz, Broadchurch,
Community.
Community.
Would have been. Yeah, I'm surprised
The
nobody.
Venture Brothers.
Got
I had
House,
Venture
House is
Brothers.
on my list.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised nobody took The Good Place.
it was on my list.
I thought about
that was
it.
number
I didn't
4
put it
on
on
my
my
list.
list.
Actually,
I was debating Married with Children.
Yeah. I was going to try and do a radical ass Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
I had Last Week Tonight on my list.
Yes, that is number
Yeah.
53 on my
That's a
list.
fucking great
It's
show.
a
And
great
I have
show.
MASH on my list. I Love Lucy was on my list.
All right, that is it for the TV
Old
draft.
stuff.
We will have that up at some point. We might make this a 2020 January joint to get those early listens in. But regardless, it will be up at some point soon. You guys take it easy, and we'll see you for the spring draft to be determined on what it is. Y'all take it easy and have a good one.